Welcome to the KidMin podcast with Dr. Val and Dr. Virginia, where we talk about everything KidMin
and pull back the curtain on some of the surprises and challenges in children's ministry that nobody prepares you for.
I'm Dr. Val, and together we have over 45 years of experience in children's ministry.
I'm Dr. Virginia. Valerie and I met over 10 years ago in our doctoral program at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary. We are excited to share with you all the great stuff that we have picked up over the years. We want to minister to you, the children's minister.
Welcome, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. Dr. Virginia, how are you?
Good. How are you, Dr. Val?
I am still recovering from our conference.
Tired. Yeah.
For those of you who maybe haven't kept up for the last few weeks, Virginia and I were at the Children's Pastors Conference in Orlando last week.
Mm-hmm.
We just had such a great time. Enjoy that conference so much. It's so much fun. And so what we thought we would do for you today was just to give you a little bit of a recap, telling you a little bit about Children's Pastors Conference and what we did when we were there, and kind of the things that you're going to see if you haven't had an opportunity to attend. We also, my husband and I spent a couple of days after at Disney. We hung out for a little while. And so I am not only conference tired, but I'm also Disney tired.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get my life back together, but it is going slowly.
I feel that.
Just to kind of give you just a little bit of information, the Children's Pastors Conference is obviously a conference for people who serve in children's ministry.
The Children's Pastors Conference is put on by the International Network of Children's Ministry, or INCM. And we'll probably also refer to the conference as CPC some, or at least I know I will, just kind of out of habit.
It's just habit.
And one of the things too that they say, you know, because like I am not a children's pastor, I am a children's director, but really anyone who works with children in children's ministry, this conference is for you. Whether you are like a paid vocational children's ministry leader or even a volunteer, there's so much to offer at the conference, really, for anyone who works with children.
Right. It is non-denominational. And so, but it does give you a lot of practical information and a lot of opportunity to network with people who do what you do, and also a lot of opportunity for you to find publishers and resources. And so that's why we just thought we would just go through some of the things that we did at the conference this year, and just to let you know a little bit about it more specifically, so that you can think about if it's something that you might like to do at some point. It's Children's Pastors Conference has been going on for a very long time. I attended back in the day, when I first started in children's ministry, and just received so much great information from it, and still just love it. It's just a very encouraging and inspiring week. So basically the Children's Pastors Conference has typically been held at Coronado Springs Conference Center at Walt Disney World. They are actually changing that for next year. We were surprised to hear. Next year's conference is going to be at the Omni. I think there were a lot of reasons that they mentioned for the change. One was just that they were going to be able to have access to the entire resort, for the conference at the Omni, which, you know, when you're at a Disney resort, you're also with a lot of people who are there, you know, to go to Disney. So,
and it's like, and that's, I felt sorry for the people who are there on their vacation.
Yes.
Maybe they're once in a life vacation. Yes. And there's like 3,000 people or 2,000 people or whatever at this conference, and they're all in line to get food.
Yes.
At the little quick service restaurant, and you're there on vacation, and you're like, what in the world?
What is going on? Because it's you know, I think they said there's 2,400 this year, 26, 24. I heard a couple different numbers. 100 people. So you're talking about a lot of us were staying on property, but a lot of people were not. And so you're talking about a lot more people coming in, and it kind of does overwhelm the restaurants and things. So I do think that's going to be interesting next year to kind of see how that's different, because we have more, you know, more space and more room because of that. But also, I know they said that the cost of the rooms are going to be a little less expensive too. So, and it's still there in Orlando. So for for people who have had that tradition of going to Disney when they go to when they attend CPC,
Mhm,
this is
mhm.
gonna still give them the opportunity to be able to see the parks because they're gonna be close, but it's just not gonna
Right.
be on property, so it's gonna be a little different.
Mhm. Yeah. So
Mhm.
so we'll see. I'm sure it'll still be the same, great conference that it is
Yes,
every year, just different
yes.
locations. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Change is good sometimes, so it's a
Mhm.
good thing. But
Totally.
so the conference started out on Monday with early
Mhm.
registration for those of us
Mhm.
that could be there, on
Mhm.
Monday, could check in. It's always a fun night because it starts off with just a little party. Like it's just you
Yeah.
go down to the lobby area, they have all of the picture opportunities set up. They have
Mhm.
all of those kinds of things going. It's a lot loud music and getting to see people and you're checking in,
Mhm.
and they have Mickey ice cream
I was gonna say
bars and Mickey
Mickey shaped
pretzels.
snacks. These are his ears. I'm motioning for his ears.
Yeah. You get to have
Ah.
all of the churros and all of the Disney
Mhm.
snacks are
Mhm.
there for, you, and so I'm sure next year there'll be all sorts of different kinds of snacks, but it was just a great time to just take pictures, to see
Mhm.
friends that you haven't seen in a long time, to just go ahead
Mhm.
and get your, registration stuff done and kind of have that taken care of so that you can just get started on Tuesday morning and just
Mhm.
jump right in. And so Monday night, as I always look forward to Monday
Mhm.
night. I always think it's just a fun time.
Yeah, and it's like as soon as I walked in on Monday night, it was just sort of like, "Oh, like, these are my people." Like,
Mhm,
I was just so excited to be there and just kind of
mhm,
just so excited for being this opportunity once a year to sort of be
mhm.
in this community of people who get it,
Right,
who
right.
are in the midst of it, who are in the middle
Yeah.
of it,
Mhm,
just sort of having that feeling like, oh, like I'm just sort of walking into this place like with my people,
yeah.
was so exciting. And also on Monday nights, they have a couple like special kind of event things. So where if you're like new
Mhm,
to CPC, they have kind of like a meetup thing, or if you are alone at CPC, like if you don't have a team with you or anyone
mhm.
that coming to CPC. So even if it's your first time or if aren't coming with the team, there are
Right.
opportunities that you can register for to like get to know other people as well.
Mhm.
So do some of that networking.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's what's so great is that everybody is so friendly. Everybody is
Mhm,
so excited to be there and excited to talk children's ministry. I mean, it's just this very inviting, very friendly.
mhm,
I mean, even just standing in line when we were getting ready to register, people are introducing themselves and asking where you're from, and just
mhm,
you have that opportunity to talk and to meet people. One of the things that happened that I loved was that they have a Facebook group for each year
mhm,
for the conference. And somebody actually posted that they were going to be going, solo, and it was their first time to go and wanted to
mhm.
know if anybody would be interested in meeting up. And so I think that they said 35 people ended up replying like that
Yeah.
they were also there alone and they formed
Yeah.
this little group. And so they met and they, hung out with each other and they did things together. And so
Yeah.
it's just so great how welcoming and how friendly everybody was to
Mhm,
just really take in. And the thing is this, you can do CPC either way you want to. You can really network and meet people and talk and make
mhm,
connections. Or if you are just burned out and you just
mm,
need time by yourself, like if you, because
mhm.
I've attended conferences like that before too, where I've been, not that I didn't want to like be nice to people and talk to people, but
Mhm.
I just needed that alone time because I just had
Yeah.
not been alone in a very long time. And so
Mhm.
I have attended conferences that way too, because there's so many people you can sneak in and out and not
Mhm.
necessarily have to make a lot of conversation or if you
Mhm.
are just, because
Mhm.
sometimes we get burned out to the point that just the social interaction is
Mhm.
exhausting. So you
Mhm.
can have those moments at CPC too where you're just kind of on your own and you do your own thing. So you can make it
Mhm.
whichever you need, like
Mhm.
whatever interaction you need at that particular
Mhm.
moment, you can make that work.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
So Tuesday morning starts off, bright and early. It
Mhm.
starts off with our with a general session at 9 o'clock, which is where the keynote is. This is
Mhm.
truly one of the best things about CPC is that so
Mhm,
many of us
mhm.
in children's ministry do not get the opportunity to worship, do
Yeah.
corporate worship with other adults on a regular basis.
Mhm,
And so CPC really tries to give you that opportunity. And so Crosspoint worship team was our worship leaders for the week. And they just did a wonderful job leading worship and
mhm,
just having that opportunity to sing praise in that large
mhm.
group, and
Yeah.
really spend that time is very special.
Absolutely. And because it's like even whenever you do get to participate in large group worship, it's like, at least for me, it's always in the back of my mind, like, okay, I hope the nursery's doing okay. I'm just waiting
Uh-huh.
for that text message that,
Right.
something
Oh,
crazy has
yeah.
happened. So just being
Mhm.
able to worship without anything in the back of my mind or any distractions
Right.
really is just such a wonderful part of CPC. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And then this is also the time where we usually get some information from some publishers, and
Mhm,
that's that's another really cool thing about it is you get to
mhm,
hear from a lot of different people
mhm,
who write material, who produce books, who produce different types of material like Vacation Bible School. You also usually have like I was just actually going through my goodie bag earlier this morning, but you have all of these little goodies from publishers that are on the chairs when you walk in
uh-huh,
to the
uh-huh.
and like this is actually from the team family, and it's a little keychain with a little tennis shoe. And so, but also they leave us, brochures and books and information
Mhm,
on our chairs so that you have the opportunity to look at content and get an idea of what is out there for different
mhm,
programs that you might be looking for
mhm,
material for, or you
mhm,
might be thinking about changing. And so during those general sessions, not only do you get the worship and then you get that interaction with publishers, but you also usually have a keynote from someone. Our very first keynote that Tuesday morning was Steve Adams, who is the new executive director of INCM. And so it was great to hear him talk a little bit and give his vision for the ministry and hear a little bit of encouragement from him. And so again, that was just a great way to sort of kick off the conference
mhm.
and to get everything started.
And then kind of in the middle of the day, there's like a morning breakout time and an afternoon breakout time before the final like large group session at the end of the evening.
Mhm.
And so we presented our first breakout on Monday afternoon. And so that was our roadmap to biblical literacy breakout,
Wow.
which will will bring up more about biblical literacy, I'm sure, throughout this
Mhm.
episode.
Oh, yes.
Um, but that was our first breakout,
Mhm.
which we was like super well attended, which is always super
Yeah,
encouraging.
yeah.
Um, and we just got to share about ideas and a way to create a plan for biblical literacy, to build biblical literacy into your children's ministry, to make
Mhm.
sure that that's something that we are thinking intentionally about and planning for.
Yes, because one of the things that we talk about is that if you don't have a goal, then you're gonna miss it every time. Like you're not
Yes.
you have to have a plan in place. And that is one of the things that we talked about was how to create a plan for your personal ministry because it's really easy
Mhm.
for somebody to say, "Oh, well, just tell me how you do your ministry and I'm just gonna copy it." Or
Yeah,
I'm just
it
gonna
doesn't
look at
always
this
work.
particular
Yeah.
publisher and I'm just gonna do this, but every ministry is unique. Every
Mhm.
community is different. You
Mhm.
can't there's no just general, no general plan that will work for everyone. And so
Mhm.
really in that conference, that's what we talked about is how do you find an individualized plan for your ministry? And so it was just a lot of fun. It was well received, I think. I think everybody was really excited to hear more about the topic.
Mhm.
And like Virginia said, we're going to talk about that a little bit more before the end of this episode. So we'll give you just a little teaser on that. But the breakouts are great. The thing about the opportunities that you have in these breakouts is that there are such a wide variety of topics.
Mhm.
There are so many different things. If you're looking for something that you're struggling with, if you're struggling with Vacation Bible School, if you're struggling with biblical literacy, if you're struggling with classroom management, if you're
Mhm.
struggling with how to create a check-in system, safety and security, all of those kinds of things are covered in a
Mhm.
breakout in one way or the other. There's
Mhm.
also a lot of opportunity for personal development,
Mhm.
your own spiritual
Right.
needs, those kinds of things are
Mhm.
covered,
Mhm.
burnout, and
Mhm.
how you can have, ways for self-care for
Mhm.
those of us who are in
Mhm.
ministry. Those kinds of
Mhm.
topics are generally covered as well, and so there's just lots of opportunities. But one of the things that's great too is if you need an hour to go back to your room and take a nap, you can
Mhm.
you don't have to be at any certain number of breakouts.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
really tailor this conference to where you are and what you need,
Mhm.
but the breakouts are just a great opportunity to
Mhm.
learn more information. I've always said, even in a bad conference, I learned something I don't wanna do then. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like I learned something through every
No
kind of
matter
conference,
what.
whether it's a good
Yeah.
one or whether it's a bad one. I
Yeah.
always learn something, and
Mhm.
so, it's very well worth your time to be able
Mhm.
to break out.
Mhm.
So I enjoy that.
And I think the schedule overall, I think the timing of the schedule is really well paced,
Mhm,
because the opening session was at 9 in the morning, so it's not too early.
mhm.
I think the lunch break was like 2 hours.
Yes.
So I didn't feel like I was rushing from
Mhm.
one thing to the next thing, eating lunch on my lap while the next
Right,
breakout starts.
right.
I felt like it was very well paced to
Mhm.
where the schedule wasn't over full, but I do feel like the time was used really well. So,
Yeah, it
yeah.
really, really is. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
The other thing on Tuesday that I had the opportunity to do was that I participated in a coaching session. And this is something that CPC offers free of charge to anyone who wants.
Mhm.
There's a limited number of spaces typically, but
Mhm.
anyone in the conference can sign up for it that's interested in doing it. It doesn't cost anything. And basically what you do is you spend 30 minutes with someone that is more experienced in whatever issue you might be having that you would like to talk through with someone. And
Mhm.
so, for example, if you are struggling with how to schedule a particular program, or maybe you're having a hard time figuring out communication with your people, or if you are struggling with safety and security, you can find a
Mhm.
person when you sign up that has that particular specialty. And then you have 30 minutes just to pick their brain and to tell them, what you're
Mhm.
struggling with. And the coach is going to really help you figure out, you're gonna walk
Mhm.
away from that 30 minutes with some tangible plans on what to do next. And
Mhm.
I love that CPC offers that opportunity because it's just, again, it's a great way to make a connection with other children's ministers,
Mhm.
but it's also just a chance to really be encouraged in an area that's stressing you out. And
Mhm.
so even if, your coach is not gonna have an answer to fix your problem, but what your coach is gonna do is to listen and to empathize, but also
Mhm.
to help you come up with your next steps. And so I
Mhm.
love that time. And so they actually
Mhm.
have it, from, 12, I think it's from, like, 12:15 to 12:45 on
Mhm.
all 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And like I said, you can just sign up for that time and go and have this opportunity to get some encouragement.
Mhm. And one thing that I like about CPC's like organization of that is that whenever you sign up for the coaching, you fill out a form to
Mhm,
explain what you want to talk about.
mhm.
Like what your questions are, what your concerns are. That way, you're not walking into your precious 30-minute
Right.
session and spending 15 of it just explaining the
Mhm.
situation,
Right.
because your coach already has an idea of what your
Mhm.
challenges are, what your concerns are. And then that gives them time to, think about and pray about, how they can help you. And so I really like that model,
Mhm.
that really utilizes that 30 minutes as well as
Right.
possible.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think is really great is that Heather, Heather Ector, who's over the coaching ministry portion, she also tries to have some extra coaches there ready in
Mm,
case you have just somebody that walks up and asks to
right,
participate. If she has the
right.
ability, according to the numbers that have signed
Yeah.
up, So even if you forget to sign up, but you're really
Mhm.
interested in doing a coaching session, that's something that you can check
Mhm.
into. Just walk up and see, and she may have some extra people that can do that. So that's really handy.
Well, or if, whenever it's time to sign up for the coaching sessions, you're like, I'm okay. And then by the time you get to CPC, you're like, actually, the bottom has fallen out in
Yeah,
some area.
right, right.
So,
Right. Or
it
you
can
may
happen
learn
fast.
something at one of the breakouts and go, "Ooh, how
Mm,
can I implement that?" And
mhm,
so, it may
yeah.
give you inspiration. So, yeah.
Mhm,
So we mentioned that there is a lot of places on campus where you can get lunch. They do give you 2 hours to be able
mhm,
to find lunch and to get lunch, which is really
mhm,
good because it is rather hectic. They do offer,
mhm.
meals that you
Yeah, I think this was
can
the first year for, like, the meal pass thing. I don't
gosh.
remember it last year, but
I don't know that they had put it out there like that. It was interesting.
mhm,
I know that they had that space last year with food, but
mhm.
I don't know if that was just for, you
I
know, the
I think it was
volunteers
just
or
for
what
the,
that
like,
was. Yeah.
engaged certificate people last year,
Yeah.
and so I
Oh,
think they
yes.
opened it
That's
to
probably
everybody. Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
last year this
Mhm,
year. So I think that was helpful. I think that maybe took a little of the pressure off of trying to
mhm,
find some place for people who were interested in doing that.
mhm,
But again, it's just, they give you plenty of time to be able to go back to your room, to freshen up, to do whatever you need to do. And then we have more breakouts in the afternoon.
mhm.
And then usually on Tuesday afternoon, they also open up the resource center.
Yay!
And so that's always kind of a crazy fun. That's
Uh,
where you go, you pick up your bag and your t-shirt.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
actually I'm wearing my t-shirt today. It's hard to see. I'm
Yay!
wearing my t-shirt
I'm
today.
not
So
wearing my CPC shirt, but I am wearing a shirt that I
you're wearing
bought on the
BC.
trip.
Just a shirt.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So the resource center is just this huge area that gives I mean that there are all the publishers are there, all
Mhm,
of the people who've written books specifically for
mhm,
children's
mhm,
ministry, for spiritual development, for any of the types of topics that you might be looking for. There are booths, they have giveaways, they have all sorts of little goodies. There is just a lot of information there. And so it
mhm,
can take a couple of days to
mhm.
really be able to go through
See
that
everything.
space and be able to do they did a
Mhm,
really fun they did a giveaway. They had a little bingo, a resource room bingo,
mhm,
bingo
mhm,
card. If you got bingo, you could turn in the card for a drawing to receive a free, all expenses paid trip to
mhm,
CPC for next year. So that
mhm,
was just a fun little game that people could play along with that. But the
mhm,
resource center is a great place for you to go. Like if you have a publisher, like if you work um, with D6, if you work with Lifeway, if you work with Awana, if you work with these specific publishers, they have people there that can
mhm,
answer questions, that can show you new
mhm,
material, that can show you VBS themes, that can show you
mhm,
opportunities that they have. So it's just a great all in one location
mhm.
place to really be able to hone in on what resources you need.
Mhm, yeah, because that's what I really enjoyed about the resource center is that pretty
Mhm.
much every company, publisher, curriculum that you've heard of is
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of people that you haven't heard of are also there.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's such a great opportunity to find out about resources that you may not, or that certainly there are things that I would not have found otherwise,
Right.
that I didn't even know existed, didn't even think to go looking for. But
Right.
there they were with a booth at CPC. And so it was just so neat to get to see all these different resources that
Mhm.
exist, as well as just like what you said, getting samples or asking questions or, getting to do some research and have some hands on research with all of the sort of traditional curriculum providers as well.
Right.
Um, just because, and it's harder these days to physically like thumb through copies of things.
Yeah.
And so CPC is such a great opportunity to be able to, look at resources that you're considering buying.
Mhm.
One of the things I got a ton of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing too is like it's because they had to bring all this stuff to the conference, it's like
Mhm.
everything is automatically like some percentage off.
Oh, yeah. Great
And so
sale.
they're like, they just want to get rid of all of it. And even then, a lot of the stuff I ordered just to be shipped to our church later. I still got the whatever percent off and free shipping. And so I got us a ton of Bibles at around 40 to 50% off by buying. I bought them a couple different places. But I got to thumb through the Grace dyslexia friendly Bible that like just came out this past fall. And I got us some of those. And so it was just so nice to get to like look at and hold and see those resources. And then also get exposed to all these other resources that, were new to me. So
Yeah. Well, for sure. Well, and you have all sorts of different opportunities throughout those days to be able to go back because we went back a few times, not only because we wanted to see friends that were there, but also just to look at some more. Oh yeah, we meant to look at this. Or for me too, some of the keynotes when they talked about their books, it made me want to go and purchase their book. So I was, so it gives you have plenty of opportunities to go back. One of the other things that I think is interesting about the Resource Center is that there are a lot of like universities and seminaries that will set up booths at these events. So if you're looking at continuing education, if you're looking at some things like that, there's opportunities for that as well.
Yeah. And one of the interesting things about CPC as well, because I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about the meal pass, the Engage certificate program, which is like a certificate program that INCM offers that also during CPC has on-campus classes during CPC for those people in those certificate programs as a part of their completion. And so I thought that was interesting and neat that wrapped into that certificate program is your ticket to INC or to CPC.
Right.
And that is sort of part of their whole program. So, yeah.
In the evening at CPC, there's typically another keynote speaker. We had Beth Guckenberger for the first night. Faith Hero Cho was one of the keynotes. Just some really great speakers that are the theme this year was really about the book of Exodus, talking about Moses and Moses's ministry. And so it just, I thought was so relevant to, I know where I am personally in my life. And so it was very encouraging. So you have all of these different speakers really talking about the same kind of theme, but bringing their own viewpoint, bringing their own style into it. And I think I learned something amazing from every single person that spoke. And so I do enjoy a good keynote. I don't like to miss the keynotes because of that, because I feel like they're really good.
Me either. And I don't think we've, I don't think in the 2 times I've been to CPC, which is not much, there's never been like a dud keynote. Like they've always been so good. And you're right, like definitely prioritizing that time and wanting to be in there for that. For sure.
It's really good. That first night they had a party in the resource area. So it was really fun because again, we had the Mickey pretzels and the ice cream bars and the churros and all the things. So we were able to go in and hang out in there a little bit again with the music and the people and just being able to hang out. And it was just a whole lot of fun. But I know we didn't stay too super late because I was worn out by the end of that first day. And I was ready to get some rest and then kick off our next day. The schedule for the second day, for Wednesday, was pretty much the same in the morning. We had our general session starting at 9 and had our worship time and our keynote. And then we went into a breakout time. And then lunch for the 2 hours. We actually had our second breakout conference on Wednesday morning for the first breakout on Wednesday. And that's where we talked about leading well through change.
Yeah. And that one's such a tough one because change can be infinity different things in different churches and in different people's lives.
Right.
But I felt like we really tried to kind of sort of break up any change into sort of generic transitional points.
Right.
And then tried to use a variety of examples and give just sort of some general principles. Just because, if it hasn't happened yet, it will. It's sort of like either you're coming out of a change or you're going into a change.
Yeah. Whether
And
that be,
so,
a change in
yeah,
your senior leadership, whether that means it's a
yeah,
change in I mean, there's just, in your
yeah.
programming, even we even talked about if you have to paint over a mural that's been there for 100 years. All of these changes can bring struggles in their own
Oh,
individual
yeah.
ways. And so it was really fun to just be able to talk about how do you lead your people well
Mhm,
when
mhm.
you are yourself going through trauma or
Whatever it
through,
is.
the grief or
Yeah,
whatever is going
yeah.
on, you're dealing with that as well. And so we had a chance to talk about that a little bit, and it was a lot of fun.
Mhm, mhm,
We enjoy getting to meet with leaders. We enjoy,
mhm,
being able to spend time. And I love, like,
mhm,
usually we have several people that will stay after to ask
mhm.
questions, and I just enjoy having that time with
Mhm,
people. So it's a lot of
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and I just like too, and I think especially with one like that, people are sharing the difficult transition or the crazy thing that happened or the whatever, so it's like I love just getting to pray with people after those too.
fun. Mhm.
They come and share about, how this thing is falling apart or that thing is an upheaval,
Right.
and just letting them share their heart and just being like, you know what, let's pray about that. And
Mhm.
so, it's definitely one of those situations where a lot of times people don't need our answers. They just need to be heard
Mhm.
and cared about and loved and prayed with
Right.
and prayed for.
Right,
So,
yeah, and so
yeah.
we love the opportunities to be able to do that for sure, so,
Mhm, mhm,
there was an afternoon breakout as well, and then the great thing about Wednesday is that Wednesday night is free. So they
mhm,
give you a free night just to be able to go with friends for dinner, to make some new
mhm,
friends, and go have, a chat to talk about things,
mhm,
a night for you just to be able to get some rest and to just do
mhm.
whatever you want to do. Virginia and I had
Go to
some
a theme
Magic
park and get the
Kingdom.
opposite of rest. Get tireder.
We did. It was funny because I was so tired and I was thinking, "Oh, I don't know how long I'll make it," but we stayed until closing, so we had fun.
Yes.
We had a
Yes.
great night at the Magic Kingdom
Ah,
and got to do a lot of
yeah.
fun things. But again, the idea for Wednesday night is if you're taking a team with you
Mhm.
for the conference, it's a great time for you to
Mhm.
do some team building opportunities
Yeah.
to just hang out together, to do something fun,
Mhm.
to go to dinner,
Mhm.
to spend time talking with people, to, just to be
Mhm.
able to get some rest and watch a movie or whatever, you need to
Mhm.
refill your tank. That's what Wednesday night is for, is to give you that
Mhm.
little bit of space so that you can just enjoy yourself, but also so that you can get what you need. Because like I
Mhm.
said, during different seasons, we all have different things that we're looking for. And
Yeah.
so that's what's so great. Um, and then we started again bright and early on Thursday. Thursday, again, we started at 9 for the general session and a keynote and the breakouts. And I did another coaching session. I wasn't able to lead a coaching session on Wednesday because our conference was getting out just as that starts. And I
Mhm.
didn't want to push that time. So I didn't sign up to coach on Wednesday, but I did sign up to coach on Thursday. So I got the opportunity to do that again, which is a lot of fun. And so just enjoy that time. And again, it just Thursday gives you just those opportunities to be able to do all those little things that you wanted to, if you're going to buy those Bibles, if you're going to take care
Mhm.
of things, you want to
Mhm.
get all that stuff done on the last day.
Mhm. Well, and I have a funny story about that, about going back to the resource center, just like what you said, because I already bought some stuff. And so I want to go back and like finish getting everything that I wanted. And there was one booth that I was at, and it's like I noticed all of our name tags had
Mhm.
like a little individual like QR code on there. So we each had our own little
Right.
QR code. And while I was talking with this booth, they're like, "Hey, do you want to enter our prize drawing?" I'm like, "Ah, sure, whatever, it doesn't matter." They're like, I think they said like, "Let us see your badge" or something.
Uh-huh.
And at that point, I was so tired. I was so exhausted. I like held up my magic band. Like she, you know what I mean? Like she
This
was gonna
is my
scan my
Disney
magic band.
badge.
I know. And I was like, "Oh, wait a second. I'm so sorry. I'm so tired. That's not what you need. This is what you want." Like you want the QR code on my badge.
This is where we're getting to the point where brain no longer works.
Yes,
It's
yes,
just
yes.
words don't come together well. It's just, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Well,
yes.
and I think I've heard you describe it before, like that you're drinking water from a fire hose
Mhm.
in these
Yeah.
conferences, and you really are. There's so much information, so much encouragement, so much Bible study. You have all
Mhm.
of this going on, and your brain does get on overload at one point where you just almost can't think anymore. But the nice thing about it is you have your notes, you have all of the
Mhm.
things that they've given you for when you come
Mhm.
home to be able to
Mhm.
sit and really think through.
Mhm.
So you do have to take a little bit of time to
Mhm.
reflect to kind of remember everything because it is a
Mhm.
lot, but you're also just it's just so encouraging. Not only are you tired, but you're also excited.
Mhm.
You get this
Mhm.
excitement about wanting to go back and do the things that you've learned, to
Yeah.
implement the things that you've read, to do all of these kinds of things. And so it's just a lot of fun.
Mhm. And one thing that I did this year that I don't think I've done for any conference previously, but I went ahead and got the digital pass this year, which is videos of all the main stage sessions and audio of all the breakouts, of
Oh,
all 200 breakouts or whatever it is.
right,
Just because I knew that there was some of these things in particular that I was going to want to take back to our team.
right.
And so I went ahead and purchased that to have to, go back and listen to later and be able to utilize later, for encouragement, for training, just kind of for different opportunities, with our team in the future.
Yeah,
So,
because there's always more breakouts that you wanna attend than you have time to go
mhm,
to, so it's
mhm,
great to be able to do that if you have the ability to. So,
mhm.
yeah, that's awesome.
I was just going to add in, in the very final main session, um, Steve Adams, the executive director, he was talking about, and like I understood what he was saying. He was like, you don't know what all goes into putting on CPC until you're on the backside of it, until you're in this on the inside of it, and just you
Right,
see how much work it is. And I thought, "Oh, yeah, I mean, I can believe that because I feel that way about stuff like VBS,
uh-huh,
or, like a large Christmas event or whatever.
right,
People just have no idea what goes into it until they see what goes into it."
right.
And I said last year, I thought, "Man, I just sort of felt like CPC was like camp for grown-ups." Like, it was just this right mixture of encouraging and challenging, and educational, and fun. And
Mhm,
so I was like, man, like CPC is just like the perfect camp for grown-ups. And
right,
as he was saying all that, and I was sort of reflecting all that, it just brought tears to my eyes because I
mhm,
thought about how much effort and love we pour into putting on VBS or
right,
camp or whatever for our kids, and
mhm,
the staff at INCM and the volunteers, because there's like a huge army of volunteers as well. The staff
mhm,
and the volunteers at INCM pour that same sort of love and dedication and energy and commitment
yeah,
into putting on CPC for us. And so I was just so encouraged by that, by this organization that takes care of or seeks to take care of children's ministry leaders in the
mhm,
way that we try to take care of our kids and families. And so,
right.
and I'm tearing up right now just
I
because
know.
it's so, I just
Um,
appreciate it so much.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and that's one thing when you pour into a ministry as much as we pour
Mhm.
into our ministries, and then to have
Mhm.
somebody else,
Mhm.
want to pour into us,
Yeah.
it's sort of like what we've done here with this
Mhm.
podcast and what we've wanted to do is to have that opportunity to pour into you, into your ministry. And
Mhm.
so it is very overwhelming and very emotional when we start thinking about the fact that people have taken their time and put this
Mhm.
effort and this love into serving us and ministering
Mhm.
to us and really spending that time trying to think about what we need to help do our job better. And so,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
just really overwhelming when we think about it.
Yeah.
So, I think through all this, you can tell we're fans. We we love we love conferences, and this is for,
Uh,
most of the conferences that I've attended over the years have this same basic kind of layout where
right,
they have
right,
keynotes, they have breakouts, they have,
right.
the publishing information. It's just,
Mhm,
whichever one most meets your needs. And the thing I do
mhm,
like about CPC is just how broad it is in the information that you receive. And so,
Mhm.
and also just how encouraging. It's one of the most encouraging conferences, I think, out there. And so,
Mhm.
so we just encourage people to go to any kind of conference
Mhm.
that you can attend.
Mhm.
Like I said before,
Mm.
you're going to learn something you want to do or something you don't want to do. But either way, you're going to learn from it, and you're going to be able to
Mhm.
meet people and be encouraged and have those connections. And so we really
Mhm.
enjoyed it.
Mhm.
One of the things that we wanted to mention too, while we're talking about Children's Pastors Conferences, is our biblical literacy conference that we did, creating a
Mhm.
roadmap for your ministry. We are actually looking this year at doing a little bit more on biblical
Mhm.
literacy. So, over this year, we're going to be putting out some more information on how you
Mhm.
can create a roadmap for your
Mhm.
own ministry in biblical
Mhm.
literacy. We're going to talk a little bit more specifically about biblical literacy
Mhm.
and how you can give kids the opportunity to learn more of God's word. And
Mhm.
so we did throw out there, if anybody is interested in being a part of this project, it
Yeah.
doesn't cost anything. We're not doing anything for money or anything. What we would love to get your email information so that we
Mhm.
can send you out the material as we work on it over this year. We also have a
Mhm.
survey that we're going to be sending out to just get some
Mhm.
feedback to find out what specific information you need more so that
Mhm.
we can produce some more information for you. So if you are interested in being a part, I promise you're not going to get a ton of stuff from us. We're just going to send out things as we
Right. Right.
produce it. So it's not going to be overwhelming. You're not going to hear from us every day or every week or anything like that.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
a matter of fact, the first email probably will not come out until sometime in late February, sometime in February.
Mhm.
So, so like I said, you're not going to have to stress over being inundated from us, but you can go to our website, kidmindoctor.com, and just give us your information, just your email, and we will add you to that list, and we will send out information as we produce it. And you're going to hear more. If you are a regular listener to the podcast, you're going to hear a lot more about
Mhm.
biblical literacy from us this year,
Mhm.
and we're going to talk a little bit more specifically. But we just wanted to throw that out there. We wanted to get the opportunity to let the people who know that attended our conference that we were going to be doing that this year, and we wanted to let you guys know too. So if you are interested in more information on how your kids can learn more about God's word, just come to our website and give us your info, and we'll send that out. We just appreciate you all so much. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate you taking time with us. We have a heart to just meet you where you
Mhm.
are. And so hopefully in the coming weeks, we're going to be able to give you more information of ways that might help you in your ministry. And we would just ask that you would like and subscribe and all the things. And we look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye bye.